Okay, we're broadcasting live into our Life Breath Club members membership area. There's a post over there with a live streaming feed going now, and we're on the phone as well with Life Breath Clubbers. Hello and welcome to the May 5th, 2014 meeting for the Life Breath Club. Oh shoot, forgot to start the phone recording, or backup recording. We like to get that.
Conference recording started.
Hello, welcome to the Life Breath Club's weekly meeting for May 5th, 2014. Again, this is Carrie Tucker, the Life Breath Coach from Heart Failure Solutions. Welcome and settle in. I'll have to catch you up on my story. It's been a busy week. It occurred to me when I was driving my loved ones to meet their transportation for the morning. I thought about introductions and you know, that I don't introduce myself here each week on a regular basis, on a habitual basis, and I really should. It's not, I just take for granted that we're old friends and we have new people joining us every day. I forget. And now that we really have uncovered my health issue, right, I like to open up and really begin to share with you all really what I've been through and what my health journey has presented to me more and more as we move forward, because it's really the point of it all is that it's up to each of us to be diligent about seeking wellness and wholeness. And you know, when we begin with those 7 steps we talk about to create any change, no matter what the topic, subject, or problem, right? The stillness, presence, awareness, beginner's mind, daily practice, integration, and sharing. 7 steps to any change. And we have to begin those steps with stillness. And that's where your solutions present themselves. If there's anything going on, even if it's not something you're aware of, right? You may be aware of this pain over here, but you're not aware of a more serious issue that lies beneath it. That's really, you know, part of the cause, part of what's going on. But when you get still, it'll talk to you. It talks to you. That's why the Life Breath Coach is constantly saying that you know yourself better than anyone. Yeah, it's up to us to be our own primary care physicians, as Dr. Ali encourages us all, right? When you're in the driver's seat. And I love how Life Breath Club member Anita she's just a voracious appetite for education. If there's something going on that she doesn't understand, you can bet she's going to write it down and Google it, you know, seek out information and educate herself on it. And sometimes that can be stressful. So we try to take Anita's hand and really help her relax, right? Because the way that you receive insight, the way that you receive your direction on your own individual path towards better health, more vibrant life, is now, right? Is that stillness, those still moments that we cultivate in our life so that we can tune in. We can receive, yeah, and the insights come. Yeah, we have faith that solution will be found because we are faithful to pay attention, to cultivate stillness, to begin with step 1, to just make time and space for stillness. And you know, I mean, if you've ever been in an emergency, you know, working in a trauma center, that's something that I became very aware of, is that when I became aware that there was an urgent life-threatening situation occurring, I became very present, everything got still and quiet. If there was noise, I couldn't hear it, right? And I was focused on airway, breathing, circulation. And I went into that mode, and we talk about it, my coworkers and I, about that zone that you go into that creates stillness. So you can think and function. So in an emergency, you can do that. But surrounded by kids wanting your attention and chaos and hectic, busy, normal lifestyle, that's a little bit probably more of a challenge. There's not the urgent call to attention. The same with our illness, right? That when we are really suffering, 218-862-7200. Chris is asking for the phone number. Must be out and about. Doesn't have access to it. Hopefully Chris can join us and honor our hour of focus on breath awareness. I want to cover today, so let me introduce myself. That's right. So my name's Carrie Tucker, the Life Breath Coach, and for those of you who don't know me, I've been a respiratory therapist for doing the math 3 decades this year, it occurs to me, exactly. And really working around in trauma center and at hospice type, nearing hospice, end of life care. In home setting, the different perspectives that I've had on end-of-life issues. That's why Heart Failure Solutions was born. Just seeing really how heart failure was really shortening lives and increasing suffering, and had such a longing to really give good information to at least reduce suffering, if not help folks get out of what they thought was their deathbed and really live heartily some more, to really get back to loving life with a zest. That used to make me happy. I used to say I work to put myself out of business. And maybe I shouldn't have said that. But I really love the transition as the folks who loved and contracted my work here locally were put out of business by a larger corporation, international corporation, and that sustainability was removed. That's what really drove me, since the population of this little island is so limited, wanting to really share that information with others and really go back to school myself to learn how to do that. I could barely copy and paste at the time, very afraid of technology. And, learning has been fun. And I really dove into more of the problems. I asked people in a professional setting, right, trauma centers, side by side with critical care nurses who know their stuff. And I asked a lot of questions. And I noticed that really there wasn't an understanding of fluid retention, right? They know that drugging it is harmful, so you don't want to do it unless you have to. And really not understanding where drugging it would be less harmful than the fluid retention. And really, I think that a respiratory therapist job is that especially in a critical and emergency care setting. So, really being able to bring that to a common everyday, how do you put it into practice? That's my story and I'm sticking to it kind of way. That's what the Life Breath Club is about, because of this magic medicine that is breathing. Chris and I were chatting about that earlier, and I don't know if that might be Chris coming in on one of our lines. Feel free to always speak up. The lines are unmuted here. Is that you, Chris?
Happy me.
Hi, Chris. Welcome. Welcome to the Life Breath Club meeting. And we're all thinking about something we're grateful for, because that's how we enter our mastermind. And I'm happy to introduce myself a little bit. My story up to this point really hasn't included illness. I've really looked at overcoming illness. In my books, you read about my overcoming autoimmune and so forth. But what I wanted to share with you, about being diligent in your mission towards better health has to do with a tube, a little tiny piece of plastic that was put in my ear membrane when I was very young. And really not understanding or recognizing, and then, like I say, the last 9 years, recognizing that was likely a causative factor in symptoms I was experiencing, but getting my healthcare team to recognize, acknowledge, and take action on that fact was another story altogether. And really having to make those tough decisions to, I talk hydrogen peroxide therapy all the time here to Life Breath Clubbers. So when the coach has to put that into action, despite pain, right, is knowing that putting hydrogen peroxide into my ear where a tube's been placed so that it would allow fluid into my inner ear. Very painful. I remember as a child swimming and bathing and all that. I had to earplug it. And now they fenestrate them to keep the fluid out. They learned from their mistakes, not to benefit me in time, but I'm glad that they learned from their mistakes. Also, there are other causes that maybe you should explore before you put a piece of plastic in a kid's head. So my hat's off to parents who will question medical advice and really, make decision carefully, so that, not only our own health, but the care of our children is done after we cultivate that stillness, after we become present to allow for a more connected awareness. Right? That's when we take action in this day, this moment, right? That's how we live by our breath. So life breath is in so many cultural stories and teaching how the center is breathing. When you come back to center, we can even talk science about the biochemical amazing thing that happens in this moment, right? Scientifically, Dr. Majid always says, prevent heart attack and stroke. Seriously, the guy's a data obsessed guy. He wouldn't say it if he didn't have the stuff to back that up. That the biochemical shift that occurs, and it's a powerful thing, right? That powerful flood of oxygen that occurs when you shift your biochemistry into a place that takes on oxygen more readily, that releases it to the cells and tissues and organ systems that desperately need that oxygen, right? That's a clotter and a declotter, an antibiotic, best antibiotic you'll ever find, that's not ever going to have anything grow resistant to it. Yeah, the antibiotic effects of oxygen, can't be overcome by mutants, right? Because oxygen kills bacteria, right? That's why chemotherapy, right? Powerful radiation is a bad part of chemotherapy, but the good part of chemotherapy is the flood of oxygen to the tumor cells that obliterates them, right? It's a detergent, it's a cleanser, it's a versatile hormone, right? Oxygen, right? But all the oxygen in the world doesn't help you if you don't have access to it. So wanting to cover today, why is dental health never a low priority? Why is overbreathing dangerous in a health crisis, and what can you do about it? And number 3, how is diarrhea dangerous, and what should you do about it? So I jumped to number 2 on you. So let's do that. We're jumping to number 2. Why is overbreathing dangerous in a health crisis, and what can you do about it? Let's cover that part of it first. So in a health crisis, when your, say, a heart attack is a massive inflammation and an inflammatory process in your heart, diarrhea even as a health crisis. We'll talk about it with number 3, in that you're losing valuable fluids and electrolytes. So a health crisis. The asthma attack is a health crisis, in that you are bronchospasming and losing the ability to exchange gas, right? Take on oxygen and lose waste gas. That shifts your pH to a dangerous acidity, right? So health crisis has many faces. So as we overbreathe, meaning shallow and rapid, or great big. Yeah. More often than not, it's shallow and rapid. And watch yourself. Watch and see if it shows up. Sometimes it shows up in your, what the heck is that? Right? As a part of my story here recently with this ear tube in my ear. And that I was noticing this funky breathing. Going to my teachers, our trusted advisor, Jack Kelly, and talking about my funky breathing. And Jack said, this is a lifelong process. Be patient, be gentle with it. But that funky breathing was like getting my attention. Like, what the heck is that? And likely, it should have been. It should have been. What I've noticed is that in my ear, I knew that was a problem brewing. Like 9 years ago, I had a big abscess in my neck, and they said, what was the cause of this sudden huge abscess in your neck? And a likely cause could be that ear, that constantly irritating, nagging, sometimes sharp pain in my right ear, right? That I want that tube out of there, but I really don't want you digging in it. And oh, gee, that was so hard for me in my 20s. And then 9 years ago, when I had the big abscess, don't want to touch it right now. Oh, trouble's brewing. Leave everything well enough alone until we get this swelling under control. Yeah, don't want to cut off your breathing passage or anything, right? So the abscess goes away, but the bowel health, terrible, from the massive antibiotics to control the abscess, right? So the health coach teaching what she most needed to learn. Okay, I coach myself out of this health crisis, right? So listening and finding, right? Many wonderful digestive building wisdom, right? Fiber for basics, right? And we'll talk lots about building gut health and really grow support and community gathering around building gut health. So stay plugged in and get information. But many tools later on we'll talk about, but slowly I rebuilt my gut health, and that was good. Then noticed really dental health, real issues with that. So really giving my all to dental health, because that was number one, right? We'll talk about why that's never a low priority. But over breathing, actually, we'll jump right to number one now. So over breathing is making our health crisis work. Bring on a heart attack. That's what we can keep a heart attack away, is with oxygen. And how it works is relaxing that heart and causing anti-inflammation, right? Anti-inflammatory effect in the heart. It's making everything a whole lot better, right? As far as crisis, as far as an illness, an infection, if we're making oxygen more available to fight, kill off the bacteria, clean up the clutter and debris that's occurring from this toxic, irritating, very irritating bacterial colony that's causing trouble, right? We've got to deal with all of that, right? And so having better functional oxygen in that situation is going to make you or break you, right? It's going to keep you functioning and living your life, or got you in bed, hoping somebody else will take care of you, right? One of the two, right? Or maybe there's some other options we will get into here, but you get my point, that it can make all the difference in the world, make a health crisis out of a health of an illness, right? A health crisis out of an illness by over breathing, right? Why would you want to overbreathe when you're ill, right? Why, so as I'm noticing this funky breathing, why am I doing that? How about an oxygen hunger, right? Because my oxygen is just being eaten up by this constant battle with bacteria, like a source of bacteria, right? So my body walled it off, covered it up as best it could, right? So the coach knows, put hydrogen peroxide in your ear. It's great at debriding. Debride that cellular material that's encapsulating the problem. Once that encapsulated problem begins to leak, then we can figure out what's going on, right? We can maybe get a culture, send it to the lab, ask them what's growing, right? Because we've been culturing. Coming back negative, no problem in your ear. I'm going, yeah, right, there's no problem in my ear. But as we debride that, and yeah, it was very painful, but debride that cell, get it to open up, let it leak out. Now, Pseudomonas, that's the big deal. You know, Pseudomonas is normal to ears, but you don't normally culture it from your ear, right? You culture it from mucus or some source of secretion, right? But because I was working and working consistently with that sack of debris in around the problem, then I was able to give the healthcare team, the access to the information they need to take care of me better, right? Since I get colitis from oral antibiotic use, we don't want to use that, you know, routinely or preventively. There's the word I'm looking for. You know, we're looking and we're assessing. You know, and my APRN, my trusted APRN who listens to me, wants to go with ear drops as far as trying to help contain that bacterial colony as it drains down my throat and causes some serious diarrhea, right? And I really work with my probiotic health and fiber and fluid and electrolytes and minerals, vitamins, right? And really give attention to nourishing myself, right? Because that's going on, and it's all good because we've got to detoxify and clean up the pollution from the sack of debris we've just opened up and released into the system. That's why we sacked it off. It was a problem, right? And really understanding that and allowing myself rest and nourishment and calm and you know, maybe a respite that's not my daily grind. Ask for help, right? That's helping. And I'm shocking my healthcare team. I have to convince them that this is serious and we need to keep moving forward because I'm doing so well. And I was telling Chris that it's just amazing. You know, I can see myself, the junkie breathing, much more now, but I really have been noticing it all along for 9 years, more sometimes than others, like when I wasn't well rested, when I maybe I wasn't eating as well, or maybe I was getting too much sugar or flour foods. You know, I really avoid those. But sometimes, you know, when you're just out and enjoying people, things enter your mouth that don't normally enter your mouth. and for me, that's always caused a lot of trouble. I thought I was allergic to eggs for a long time. Did 90 full days of elimination. We'll talk about that in some of our diet classes, and especially our class on fluid retention coming soon as I get well. You know, and really giving attention to nourishing myself is really, wow, I just lost my train of thought. But I'm doing well. I thought, how am I going to do this class? I'm sick. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm whole and well. I'm a little feverish this morning, but I'm doing well. Why don't you guys hop in? Any questions so far on 1 or 2? Why is dental health never a low priority? And why is overbreeding dangerous in a health crisis, and what can you do about it?
Well, for me, one of the things was my dental started getting worse before I had my heart attack.
Right.
An indicator that I was not healthy.
Right, and my dentist insisted that something be done about the ear issue. It was white and fuzzy, and my dentist said, well, that is our problem. I can't make any progress in your mouth here until your medical team addresses your ear. She began to get insistent, and that helped. So, you know, the dental health actually helped me get the medical health that was really difficult for me to get those referrals and get my insurance to comply. It's not healthcare so much as it insurance referring and so forth, you know. So yeah, it's a part of our puzzle, isn't it, Chris?
Yes, and your doctor has to believe that your body is one whole complete part, rather than sticking their specialties, because they wouldn't. The facilities I went to would say it's not connected. I only work with one thing at a time.
Yes, you know, I'm so glad you brought that up, because you know, I was going to bring up how is diarrhea dangerous and what should you do about it as number 3. So everything's coming up all by itself. But oh, my dear friend, and actually the person who inspired me to begin blogging on heartfailuresolutions.com, Terry. She slowly died before my eyes, and it was a bowel issue and diarrhea that didn't quit. I mean, lost weight rapidly. That's what caused me to visit her a lot, ask a lot of questions, was her very rapid weight loss. And she actually looked healthy, you know. Oh, you look so good, everybody kept telling her. And I began to notice just her color, and putting an oximeter on her, I could see her really low oxygen levels. And so as things progressed, and then of course I couldn't get any attention to low oxygen levels until she was in intensive care with heart failure. And then when she came home, you know, she kept struggling, and nobody wanted to pay attention to the bowel anymore, that diarrhea issue that started the whole process. Nobody wanted to look at the diarrhea anymore. They said, well, her heart is the problem at this point. So, you know, 10 months later, there's a rotting piece of, it was 14 inches long, I believe, section of bowel in her gut. You know, you're not going to have any improvement in your patient if you have a dead, you know, space of bowel that long, you know. It's amazing that she lived as long as she did, you know, and once she got the repair, her heart was too damaged. So yeah, you know, you've got to find a new healthcare team that will listen if you must, because if they're not hearing what you hear in that quiet, still space, it will scream at you. If you get still, if you cultivate stillness, and there's something going on that you need to know about, you will tell yourself. You're plugged in to that heavenly parent. That information will bubble up. Sometimes that causes fear, right? You know, like if you don't know what to do, you try and you're frustrated, anger, right? Golly, they won't listen, you know. And it gets to be, you know, that was Anita, drove Anita to educate herself. The oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve, Anita became an expert. And really understanding why she wanted less breathing with her nighttime CPAP equipment. You know, she knew why, you know, and it helped her stay the course. It helped her feel sane. It helped her feel less fear because she knew what she was trying to accomplish, right? And she did accomplish it. And even with her severe kyphoscoliosis, she is still living a really active life. And that's the real testimony, is really living your active life as you age, despite your challenges. You know, Anita used to look at her kyphoscoliosis as a challenge, you know, one of those obstacles that you can't overcome. You just work with it. But, you know, since she's been, you know, really faithful about seeking chiropractic attention, I know that she's really amazed at how much more health and ease and energy is possible for her, despite the curvature of her spine from birth. You know, and redistributing. She started with, I think she said, 30 pounds more on one foot than the other, you know. That's big. Wow, is that big? And wow, what a difference that will make for Anita as she ages. You know, what I used to see in home after home for 10 years here on the Big Island is people on their deathbed. And I'll tell you that if you have enough strength left to shift your butt occasionally, if you live that long to enjoy your family, and watch your grandkids grow, right? Then you don't have bed sores. I'll tell you what, someone with a bed sore will tell you that quality of life would be better without a bed sore. Amen? Yeah, this is about nurturing every little bit of you that you can, like you would love your own child. Yeah, that's what we're doing for ourselves. So we're giving attention to that dental health so that it can lead us further on our health plan. As well, though, you know, dental health, just plain inflammation in your mouth. So my lovely friend Cindy has been chatting with me about, is it oil pulling? Yeah, where you just take an oil in your mouth and for 20 minutes, and we can have some information sharing and get together around that as well. But just, really giving attention to what you can do around dental health to reduce the inflammation in your mouth, right? Because so much of why we die of heart disease more than everything else combined and heart disease is a disease of your circulating blood. It's not a plumbing problem. It's right. It's a gummy, sticky, dirty blood, right? That's why breathing is so powerful, to clean up that gummy, sticky, dirty blood. In whatever moments you can, invite that relaxation response, right, of our wonderful and healing and powerfully restorative nervous system, right? And we can go ahead. Did you want to share?
Well, I was just agreeing with you, absolutely.
Right, and we can.
Our bodies can heal. I mean, that's why.
It's our natural inclination, Right.
Yeah. Doctors told me my heart would never get stronger, but in last physical stress test, I had gone from 27 to 56% heart function.
Yeah.
So and then first thing they said, there's something wrong with my equipment.
Yeah, this machine is broken. You can't possibly have improved that much. It's impossible. I said so. Right. And as well, your ear's not a problem. Your ear's not a problem. Your ear's not a problem. My ear's a problem. So it's all the fruits are on the tree, right? We got to just deal with what we've got, and we've got to open ourselves to solution, right? To be honest, I mean, I thought that hydrogen peroxide was going to be like I remember as a kid getting, the chlorine water in my ear from the pool, and it would go in that tube into my inner ear, hurt all the way down my neck, like, oh, it hurt so bad. And that's what I envisioned this whole thing I was going to do with peroxide to be. And it really wasn't. This is so chronic, it's so chronic and wet, right? Your ears are not supposed to be wet. And my nurse practitioner, who's such a practical lady, said, the natural thing, the old-fashioned, your grandma would tell you to do half vinegar and half hydrogen peroxide. And, that was comforting. And so I said, you know what, let's just deal with this. Let's just take this on, My doctors have always said, really, we don't want to put any fluid in that ear, ideally. So they would antibiotics. They would let me put in that ear, and I had fear around treating my ear myself because it was altered, right? That piece of plastic in my ear, in theory, provided direct access to my inner ear. So I just felt like, where I felt very competent to make up my own mind for the rest of my body, my ear always puzzled me. Really didn't know what to do about it, And even though I knew, really that probably has a lot to do with my dental health, I really didn't know how to get the health of my ear addressed when they culture it, and there was no reason for concern. And even my practical nurse would say, well, we can flush it. So this is what we came to, that we could flush it. So I thought, you know what, I'll just start at home, and I will increase gradually and start to add drops of hydrogen peroxide, knowing that every drop I can get into this ear is healing and restorative. Isn't that what Life Breath Coach says? That hydrogen peroxide breaks down into oxygen and water. And yeah, it's going to put water into that ear that's wet already, that we don't want more wet, but that's what the vinegar is for. My trusted practical nurse said so. And I'm going to do this. And I'm going to be consistent, right? So much of the PTSD, Chris can relate to that too, it's that not taking care of yourself. I mean, it's like you got to tell your friends and, encourage them to ask you about your progress and to really, want to be held accountable, to really, come back to the table, or you don't. You really don't. I mean, I laugh, but this is no laughing matter. If you don't take care of yourself, then you deteriorate and you can't fulfill your purpose. And you're here for a purpose. You know, when you find it and you're, just, you're just doing that, it's so easy to live life. Yeah. So, when we can get to that point where our health will support that easy, purpose fulfilling place we're all intended to occupy, right? When we get to that place, we can all have fun and show other people how, right? So we want to start by dental health, but address that Dr. Ali is constantly talking to us about how death begins in the bowel. So how does overbreathing contribute to that? When you begin to chronically overbreathe, I was overbreathing, wanting to, from this little pocket. My body was encapsulating it there, but it was very wet and seeping, I'm sure, and your body restores itself all the time. So it's trying to encapsulate this little piece of plastic that's kind of askew in there, I've been told. People who have actually visualized it before this sore grew over the top of it and obscured the view of it during this huge time of inflammation 9 years ago. And it's just dealt with it, but it's, I'm sure, really depleted oxygen stores. It's really increased the bacterial population in my mouth, my sinuses, all of that, my head, right? And my physician, my APRN is always saying, you don't have sinus infections. You don't, you're not in bed all the time. Do you sleep a lot? She marvels that, that this is why, I guess I could say this is has been painful all my life. If I had been saying that, I probably would have gotten care. But I wasn't saying pain. I'm like, it's uncomfortable. And that's not enough to get the referral, to get the care, right? So we got to learn the language. You have to, right? If you want to proceed where you're feeling led, right? And sometimes, just getting still shows us there's more than one choice, right? And sometimes you don't have to make a choice. You can seek, different things that you're doing contribute to your solution, right? You really begin to relax more because of this. You begin to drain more of the gook that's draining from my ear, right? It just seemed to be clogging up, and seeking those wonderful nursing staff there at the clinic to use their equipment that they have there and to look that, it's a lot easier for them to do it than me, and to really use some power flushing and really to get the debris out of the way, so that the hydrogen peroxide really distributes over, yikes, raw, yeah, it was kind of painful, raw, open, tissue, fresh pink, not the debriding dead cells that we're needing to get rid of to clean up this area, so that when I can fly off this island to an ENT that can give me the help I need, it's cleaned up. He's got something to work with here, right? He doesn't have to do emergency surgery a year from now or something on a horribly inflamed head, right? I mean, we really address it when no one thinks they need to worry about it. That's really what I'm faced with, is that I will get the care because the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and uncomfortable is painful, right? It just embrace the language, right? So that's what, John and Marcia from a few weeks back, really just sick and tired of oxygen, hating on it, right? Very inactive because it makes them feel like they're on a leash. They're sick of tripping on the thing and tripping other people and lugging the tanks, and they're having very low oxygen levels. Marcia's saying she has cement. Her lungs are turning to cement. That, pulmonary fibrosis is a debilitating condition. But Chris and I both know the power of affirmation, the power of visualization. Is your lungs turning to cement a very good visualization, would you say, Chris? That, we don't want to insult anybody's diagnosis, but that can be good, would you say?
Yeah. If you want to look at your lungs becoming clean and healthy, if you get a diagnosis of them becoming concrete, right?
Right. Concrete can exchange gas, that's for sure. We talk about that upside down tree of life, where gas exchange happens at the very tiny greenest tips of it, you know, and how we're really just nurturing and really really, you know, understanding that they do have the ability to heal. That the famous study that says lungs don't heal, just like hearts don't get stronger, that we know that lungs do heal. You know, if you follow the progression of lung disease and the slow deterioration to death, you will certainly see that process. But we know, even Konstantin Buteyko, you know, way back into the 1960s until his death in 2008, I believe he was killed, I believe. I might have got that story wrong, but somewhere around there, yeah. And that man just really gave us an amazing gift. It's amazing that more of the world, that he's not, Buteyko is not a household name, that we don't know about that man. He's what he's given us is a key to the kingdom. Yeah, what Chris and I were talking about earlier, that just becoming aware of your breathing, keep your mouth shut, right? You know, and a lot of folks struggle with that. If you've got a clogged up nose, that can be a little difficult, but that's what the head nod Chris loves, where you nod your head. That's in the Sacred Breathing Handbook, which you can get at heartfailuresolutions.com/sacred breath, sacred-breath. I think there's a lot of links to it over there on heartfailuresolutions.com. And you know, if you can work little by little on getting your nose open. You know, if you can't, then you purse your lips and you really try to just relax and breathe in your belly, you know, and slow down, you know. But if you can close your mouth, if you can just let your nose filter the air you're breathing, that's what it's supposed to do, right? It moisturizes it too. Yippee, skippy. You know, you don't have to breathe dry air because you're not supposed to, right? Your nose's job is to humidify the air you're breathing. So we don't skip that. We don't skip that part in it, and it nurtures the health of our lungs, right? It aids in this biochemical shift that occurs with slowing down our breathing. If we get a little air hungry, we don't open our mouth. Nope, we slow down, perhaps, right? Relax, perhaps. What do you do when you feel air hungry, Chris?
I will close my mouth and out through my nose. I will breathe out, hold my breath, and then let my body just suck the air back in through my nose. Be calm and do it again for a few minutes until I'm more relaxed and my breathing returns to what it should be normally.
Mm-hmm.
And do the Chihuahua head bob so I can hold it longer while holding my nose.
Right, right. That you just noticed that just bobbing your head makes it allows you to increase your controlled pause.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, cool. It's an ongoing, you know, that's really Chris's own variation of what you get in that Sacred Breathing Handbook. And I invite you to play with it. The shower technique that I give you in there, that's really powerful for me. I think that in this warm climate, it's really good to use that cold water shower. Yeah, to really, whoa, you know, stay in it a while. It really serves me well. And I really found that if I do my lower body, my extremities, then I really do my head thoroughly, really give that some time, and then do my trunk, that I do a lot better. I can tolerate it a lot longer. I can really feel how much more solid I feel, you know. That I think of that cold shower technique as it's a way you finish off whatever kind of shower you like. You know, I kind of like a hot shower. I'm just really kind of addicted to it. I've tried to back off and not have such hot showers. So I really don't think that's good for your skin and all, but I just love them. But so I do that. I give myself that. But then I really take that time in the cold water, and it's really, really nurtures me. I think of it as making, I think of me as soft on the inside when I don't do that. And I can just really feel that difference by utilizing it. But I varied it to suit myself. And some folks have told me that they feel like that makes their heart race. And that's what I tell folks, don't be so extreme with it. Just vary your temperature, knowing that. As a matter of fact, don't put on so many sweaters and make yourself sweat. Understand that allowing a lower body temperature, not coddling yourself so much with so turning the thermostat up, so many layers at night, that you really do, want to really explore that therapy of low body temperature here and there, but really to nurture yourself and not ignore discomfort ongoing, right? Like just keeping your hands and your feet covered go a long way, even if you don't have access to other forms of de-stressing. It's good for babies, and it's good for you whenever you're run down, right? Your head is a big loss of heat, as are your hands and feet. Right, and just nurturing, so many of the techniques that Life Breath Club member Jessica, who's here faithfully, I really, I want to thank you, Jessica, for your faithfulness as well. It's always calls back the group of people who really are nurtured by this space. A lot of Life Breath Clubbers have been emailing me lately, and I keep saying, come back. And so hopefully more folks will really. And even if they can't, Portia Rose over on the New Zealand end of the world has been really sharing her struggle and her triumphs, and there's been both. And really reaching out to her to utilize the recordings, since it's not as good for her the time of day over there. It's just a day ahead, but an hour earlier. It's still not jiving with her schedule. But just making that weekly reminder to come back to give some focused attention to how powerful just being breath aware is. Yeah? And Anita says her testimony was a couple weeks ago, and she was saying that she was turning off her oxygen when she'd go to sit down and relax, and she doesn't use it when she's sitting usually. But she began to really, just notice that it really was beneficial to address the need for oxygen that when she stands up, she can see how difficult it is to stand up out of the chair that she relaxes in. And she just realizes that if she allowed that hyperoxygenation before she stands up, she's making herself stronger. She can feel the results. And when she turns it off to save electricity or turn the noise off for whatever reasons she decides not to drape it over the end of the arm of the chair, that maybe she feels like wasteful. The oxygen's on and she's not actually using it, but that having it there hanging over the arm of her chair so that she puts it on, and like Chris was describing, just that close your mouth and find that Anita maybe doesn't think of straight spine. She thinks of balance, right? Because she's got the curvature of her spine. She maybe thinks of balance, relaxing and allowing that deeper unconscious parasympathetic breathing to kick in and to breathe how she can't, right? For a few moments while she allows that hyperoxygenation. There's so much controversy around oxygen. I think it's so weird because, hydrogen peroxide as well, a lot of herbs that are just so beneficial, or urine, drugs that are made of urine, and the controversy that grows around that. Well, I mean, whereas there are drugs that are made of urine that are used that are very respected, and which doesn't make any sense. But it's very strange, the controversy and confusion around things that really don't pose a risk to our health and wellness. Right? They're really much more safe than things that are in practical application today, right? And so we have to question these fear tactics, and really not rob ourselves of these simple tools that are available, and not minimize the power of them, right? Because breathing, nobody can charge us for that. Oxygen, except that, I know some folks were paying a lot of money for their deductible every month ongoing, and some folks just couldn't get oxygen in their homes. And shoot, if you really look around, you can pick up a unit and put it in your home, and it's not that expensive, and it's a small investment, and there, it's yours. You own it. Big deal, right? And yet, boy, the system will bleed you if you let it. It's like, I'll tell folks these things and they'll, oh wow, why have I been, you didn't know. You didn't know. Just all you can do, move forward with this better solution, this better opportunity, right? Our food or our nutritional supplementation. Sometimes folks that I would see were on nutritional supplementation that was driving up their blood pressure. Saw that a lot. Goodness me. Nutritional supplementation is a good thing, but diarrhea as well. See, causing diarrhea. How's it dangerous? You're losing fluid and you're losing electrolytes, right? Over 90% of people over the age of 50 who come into an emergency room are dangerously dehydrated, right? That's why they start an IV on everybody, right? Put a needle in your arm and drip fluid into you. Dangerously dehydrated, electrolytes, minerals, right? Chris, you're piping up. Oh, yes, don't mess with that, right? People will, though. I mean, right? Like, boy, I have just been, liquid stool for in about a week. I'm like, let's get you some help. And they're trying to like go do their grocery shopping, go to work, and like, this, they don't really understand this is serious, right? And my girlfriend, she had it for 14 months. She had diarrhea, she never had anything but just liquid stool for 14 months. And I just kept fussing at her and saying, this is dangerous. Please get help. And she kept telling me, well, I told them. You told them? What do you mean? And what's going on? And so they scoped her. They put an upper scope in, and then they had a lower scope scheduled. And she was so traumatized by the upper scope that she never went in for her appointment to the lower scope. And I remember, encouraging and pushing her. And she said, well, yeah, I don't know. I can't get an appointment and so forth. And they kind of put her off after she missed her appointment. I guess they didn't like that she blew it off or something. I don't know. She couldn't get an appointment for a while. Then the heart thing kicked in. Then they didn't want to address the bowel, right? And so she missed her opportunity, right? Well, here we go. Here's our problem, right? The fear and trauma of her experience prevented her from following through with her, solution seeking to find the dead space of bowel, stop the diarrhea, right? That was draining the vitality of her heart muscle so that she wasn't weeks from the end of her life by the time they finally addressed it, right? Because she had maybe a sick heart already by that point, but not anything that we can't handle, right? We really understand the power of healing here. Now, Chris's heart is just fine. He doesn't need another heart. He can give it to somebody else, right? Someone who can't restore their heart, right, Chris?
Absolutely.
So what should you do about it? Drink lemon juice and water if you're losing too much fluid in your stool, even if it's a gooey poop, right? I mean, sorry to be graphic, but if your stool is very loose and lots of fluid coming, you're losing too frequently, right? Then you really be diligent about that, and you get your fluids going and squeeze some fresh lemon into it. Call a friend, have them bring you some. Get some lemon into you. And my good friend Jack recommends alternating with a little bit of baking soda, just a little, but just to really encourage our system and to maintain that balance. And really, if you're feeling weak, if it's not stopping, go to the emergency room if you feel concerned, right? It's better safe than sorry. It's that serious, right? When we really begin to have mineral deficiencies, electrolyte deficiencies, all this stuff that can happen gradually, even if it's simply, your stool is supposed to be as big as your wrist and an S shape, right? If you're pooping periods or you're pooping little spaghetti, this is problematic, right? This is toxic. This is poisoning your system. It's causing more fluid retention, right? So Dr. Majid Ali talks about death begins in our bowel because of this simple issue. When we don't take on nutrition, our food is our medicine. Somebody famous said that. and we don't allow for the the efficient elimination of the waste that happens, right? When we drive our car down the street, the exhaust comes out the tailpipe. If we mess up that system and the exhaust comes into our car instead, we're going to be in trouble, aren't we? Right? Same thing with what's going on in your body. If you're not really allowing for this, nice clean process of getting rid of the waste that's produced by the optimal functioning of your body, right? Let alone disease processes, right? That may have very toxic waste from bacteria, right? A bacteria colony can really kick out some toxic waste, right? So we really want to clean up the bowel to allow for restoration and regeneration anywhere in your body, right? So let's see, did we cover everything? So what can you do about overbreathing? And number two, within a health crisis, are you having chest pain? By all means, close your mouth, breathe slowly and deliberately, at least purse your lips very tightly and breathe as slowly as you possibly can, understanding that in that situation, air hunger is good. Don't try to satisfy your air hunger. Understand that the more air hungry and the more you just try to relax and breathe anyway, right? Nod your head, Chris says, helps you to exhale a little bit longer, right? Then you are saving your own life right in that moment. Yeah, it's so not dramatic, right? When you avoid a stroke or a heart attack like Dr. Majid Ali describes, it's so not dramatic. Strokes and heart attacks are big drama and big consequences. But causing a biochemical shift in your breathing to create this avoidance of a stroke or a heart attack, it's a non-climactic. It's boring, right? It's just this relaxing. But you know what? Then again, though, if you can't get your breath, you can't catch your breath, and now you can, that's pretty climactic, huh? I bet you that's pretty darn climactic.
Yes.
But you don't often understand that within that moment where you found that easy breathing again, where you really hold on to that exhale. Savor every little bit and wait for that deep and cleansing breath that only your completely unconscious nervous system can manage, right? That's real healing. That's real power there. Save your life in this moment. Save you suffering years and years and years from now, right? That heart failure is a crisis around the globe because it causes suffering for so doggone long, right? It's not just a heart attack and you drop dead and darn, we really love our loved ones and we don't want them dropping like flies, right? It's this slow, agonizing suffering. And we must care for them that long. We must ease their pain that long. They must endure their pain that long, right? So really, as we really attend to this awe here, wow, our breathing can save us in the moment. It can reduce our suffering. It can reduce the suffering of our loved ones. You know, we talk a lot about health crisis and end-of-life care, but as well our children. So much more often asthma in our kids, with so much a harsher, less gentle world they're living in. And this can help them too, right? Emotional trauma. So many of us are in isolation carrying our burdens, right? We just want to put them all down collectively. Have an easy breather, right? Lift each other up, right? And exhale our baggage. Right? Having a little trouble with that? Then tap it away. Tap it away. I let the life dance coach me, because a good coach always has coaches. And my coach tells me, tap at least 3 rounds of tapping, right? Emotional freedom technique just gets at the surface in 1 round. Come on, now you can do it. Go the distance. Yeah? 3 rounds of tapping. Now we're talking. 5 rounds of tapping. Holy cow, where are we now? Right? You see some avoidance, like tapping is comforting to me. I kind of tap just habitually because it feels good, but really routine daily practice kind of tapping, right, where I've come to the beginner's mind of acknowledging that tapping is opening meridians in my nervous system that's creating a powerful healing energy all by itself, because I'm freeing this trapped magnetic emotional energy that's causing me harm, right, with this simple tapping activity. Yeah, but when I come to this beginner's mind and this new place of awareness, right, and I go, this is powerful medicine, like that breathing thing I noticed, right? Yeah, where I stop my over breathing. I stop that. I close my mouth. Find my strength. Yeah, explore my straight spine a little more, right? And I help myself right now so that I avoid the suffering. Yeah, I never have to even acknowledge how much I've avoided. I don't want to, don't have to, right? And then dig a little deeper, right? Never shoot too low, right? Aim for the moon, right?
Exactly.
Chris, right now I feel like I need to deal with my ear. And I'm sure that, maybe you still do really feel an urgency to nurture your heart. And sometimes it's hard to really embrace how simple nutrition is, right?
Until you experience it.
Right. So, John of our John and Marcia team, John really, it was too simple. Smoothies, I'm sick here, woman. And perhaps, smoothies was too soft a language for John in his urgent attempt to address his health crisis. And sometimes, just plain doing it, getting the ingredients, putting it in a blender, all that, too, you got to be kidding. Yeah, I can barely manage putting on my socks, woman. But perhaps a nutritional supplement is what John or Marcia, you and I, maybe that's what we need. And I'm really understanding that. Actually, that's part of, I actually asked Chris, what are you doing these days? And I really liked that what Chris is doing is a family of awesome stuffs that can really address a lot of needs that folks that come to me have. We really need to address diabetes, because diabetes is fueling heart failure, and it's really a game changer when we can address that early on and then go from there, right? Because that's all we're trying to do is find our highest priority, and sometimes dental health is get to the dentist now. Do heavy duty cleaning, if nothing else. Do some pulling. We'll give you some detail about that. And really begin to address it from your highest priority, and take on another chunk once you get that far. And know that the Life Breath Club is here to support you. So if you're not a Masters member, at least join us at that level, and look for more opportunity from your friends here at the Life Breath Club and Heart Failure Solutions in your inbox. And the nutritional supplementation that we're embracing can pay for itself, so that finances don't have to be an issue. And I'm really grateful to Chris in pointing me. Dr. Woollach is not new to me. He, I suppose, could be fairly given credit for advising me all along on the Heart Failure Solutions blog, and that he's one of the many doctors I've listened to for all these years of seeking information online. He's very respected in my world. So that was a no-brainer when Chris told me how much he was loving longevity, and knowing that the Life Breath Club community can be benefited. I really embrace MLM, but most MLM companies require so much that it just wasn't feasible and sustainable for us as a community here on the Life Breath Club. But I really love how we can just work together and benefit within that setting. So that's why I really invited Chris to really allow Life Breath Club to be a longevity cheering session as well. We're not hard sale here. We don't sell anything except for the belief in breathing. But if you're not looking at nutritional supplementation and you're being safe about it, you're taking your blood pressure, I hope that you'll pray about it and consider it, and give us an email. Reply to any email from Heart Failure Solutions, and we'll get in touch with you. We can help you to address your specific worries and concerns. Go ahead with questions if you have them. The lines are unmuted. I'll check on that. We're 3 minutes past the top of our hour, and that's okay because we're flexible. But we do honor that 60 minutes is what we've committed to this time and space. So hop off and run if you need to. But be grateful. What were you grateful for as you entered? And you want to make a SMART goal for your week. What's specific and measurable and attainable that you can complete before you join us again in 7 days? What are you going to do for you? How are you going to nurture your health? That's what this health mastermind is all about. The health crisis aspect of this mastermind is addressing, are you short of breath? Are you having fluid accumulating at your ankles, at your belly, in your extremities? Then don't ignore it. Because health crisis means your attention is required now. If you need help, reply to any email. We'll get in touch with you ASAP. If it's urgent, please dial 911. Better safe than sorry, right? Any questions? Looking on the membership area side of things. You can ask questions over on Google Plus as well, and you need a Google Plus account to comment in the membership area of the blog. Helps us reduce our spam volume. Thanks for your understanding around that. Alrighty, Jesse, you are so awesome. Even if you don't have questions, you often have awesome things to contribute. Did any of your old tools come to mind as we discussed today? Jesse must have heavy static today, but maybe it'll even out. Let's try to hang with it for a minute. Happy energy around Jesse's static. She usually has a way better connection. Maybe if I do this. No, it's not Chris's Skype. Yeah, darn, it's Jessie. I'll bet you she's talking back there. So I'll try to let you self-mute again, Jessie. You can instant message me in, we have a couple instant messaging services I think that Jessie and I are connected through. Jessie is a valued Life Breath Club advisor as well. She really understands the simple little tools that get at those deeper healing, restorative necessities, right? Our nervous system really has some simple nurturing that it needs in order to really begin to get back to optimal functioning. And she is just brilliant. I mean, she always just blows my mind with the simple little things that she tells me to do. And I believe her, so I do it. And wow! Goodness me, you know, what is possible through a little bit of tender touch and there she's unmuted again, but I think she's self-muted, so darn. No. Well, darn. Well, her energy's here and we love her, and Chris needs to get going, I bet. So we're hopping off the clock at 7 minutes past the hour. Thanks for staying. And until we meet again next week, same time, same place. Aloha nui, everyone.
Aloha nui. Let me know if I can help you in any way.
Oh, we're helping each other daily. It just comes up as it comes up, doesn't it, Chris? And the same for all of you out there. If we can help in any way, just be in contact, and we will do what we can. Love you all. See you next week.
Okay. Aloha.
Conference recording stopped.
And stop the recording.